we're not talking about the end of the petrodollar yet. But the fact that these oil states are really happy to discuss going outside of the U.S. dollar to transact oil says a lot about the next 20 years of where the world's going. And that's a whole other conversation on oil and gold, but that's fascinating too.
So do you see also the use of, I wrote about this in an article, as theoretically a BRICS-backed basket of currencies with gold, like the 40, 60%, could also reduce up to 2% of transaction costs just in terms of intra-BRICS trade.
Sure.
And actually save like up to, I think, 7 billion in just transaction costs per year. And would you see that as something that could work, and by using some DLT, like distributed?
Whatever you think of DLT, it's coming. It's not going away. And we can talk about what's good or bad about it, but certainly what's good about it is its speed and its efficiency and its cost. And again, I don't think that genie goes back in the bottle now. The digital ledger technology is extremely efficient in that regard. And I don't want to say I know for sure, it's a mug's game to predict, but I think that clearly is the direction. It's not just for cost efficiency, it's also just transactional efficiency. And it's also just the new direction. Again, it doesn't mean the end of the dollar, it just means a new direction away from the dollar that, well, the dollar is still a player, but these other kind of tokenized DLT-based, local currency, gold-based tokens can be used to do trade. It doesn't require the U.S. SWIFT system, which can be frozen, as we saw in 2022, doesn't require the approval of a U.S. banking system, and doesn't require the involvement of the U.S. dollar. And so that is the slow drip away. It is a slow drip away from a dollar and a U.S. Treasury that for a generation has been the tail that wags the dog of the rest of the world. And the reason that that tail is no longer as strong, and the reason that the dog is getting more recalcitrant and more rebellious, there's a number of reasons. The main reason is that tail, that U.S. tail that's wagging the dog of the rest of the world, is too much in debt, not as credible. The second reason is they weaponized what was supposed to be a neutral world reserve currency against a political antagonist. And so other countries are saying, well, if they can do this to Russia, they can do it to me. I mean, we get that they did that to Venezuela and Iran, but now they're doing it to Russia, nuclear power. It's like I've said many times, if you have a bank account at a local bank and they freeze, if I had a bank account at Goldman or Citibank and they froze my assets, I'm not going to recommend it. Again, tired example, but it's so simple. And when we weaponized that dollar, it was a watershed moment, probably one of the biggest mistakes in the State Department since the inception of the U.S. government. I'm not alone in that opinion. Well, now the dollar's not as trusted and the dollar's over its skis in debt. Those are two reasons to look at something else. Again, not replacing the dollar, not the ruble as a world reserve currency, or not the yuan, certainly not the real. It's just